Hello everyone, my name is Jeff Rolka. Thank you for checking out my video. I had a question recently about stage fright, what I usually call performance anxiety, and they asked for a video. And I said, sure, I've got all kinds of videos on stage fright, no problem. I don't, actually. I think I've talked about it quite frequently in live events, and I think that I've addressed it a few times in questions from comments videos, but I hadn't really done a really good stage fright video. And this is particularly important to me because I myself have struggled mightily with stage fright, performance anxiety, however you want to call it, getting butterflies in your stomach before you head out on stage over the years. It was crippling for me at one point and held me back and quite likely held me out of a lot of opportunities that otherwise I may have been able to take advantage of. And so in this very short video, as short as I can manage, I'm going to take you through the process that I use to figure out how to get from the practice room to the stage and give my best possible performance. And this is focused on the idea of performance anxiety, stage fright, if you will. Start early. Starting early is extremely important. Very frequently, I have individuals ask me for help about stage fright, performance anxiety, and it'll be on a Friday and the show is on a Sunday or something to that effect. Start early. If you have experienced stage fright in the past, it's quite likely that you're going to experience it again. Take that as the cue to start your performance anxiety practice. You don't want to leave it up to chance. You know, if it's one time been fine and another time it's been really rough, don't leave it to chance. Better to prepare in advance, be ready for it, so that you are well equipped when you head out on stage the next time. It's likely that you will never, quote unquote, get over your stage fright. But what you can do is learn systems and have them in place so that when you do experience it, to whatever degree it happens to happen, that you'll be well equipped to manage it and move forward and have a very productive, good performance. Be meticulous and observant. The process of working with your stage fright will work best if you are very observant of the steps that you go through between your practice, or starting really from your practice, all the way through to the point that you get on stage. You must be both meticulous and observant in those elements. So, for example, I know that when I have a performance at 5 in the evening, for example, then I need to have some type of very light food object at 2 p.m. There's a 3-hour time gap there. That light food object typically comes in the form of a green salad with little to no dressing or anything else on it. It's very, very plain and very little. As a vocalist, of course, this is really important. You don't want stuff gumming up the works, so to speak. So you also have to consider your own individual food needs and the things that affect your voice. Again, meticulous and observant. 3 hours is too long between the light meal and the performance. Try 2. Try 2.5. We can split it down as granular as you want. Again, meticulous and observant. Be incremental. Now, I touched on this a moment ago when I was talking about gauging your food requirements prior to the show. You will also have to incrementally challenge yourself as you move towards the kinds of performances that you wish to do. So, for example, let's say that you're a new vocalist and you want to go from singing with tracks at home to singing for a small audience of your friends and family, or maybe at an open mic. Your first challenge might be to learn to sing those songs without a guide vocal. So instead of singing along with the original artist, singing along with that track, you're just singing along to the track and it's just the music. There's no guide vocal happening. Maybe then you make a recording of it and listen back to it. And if you're still moving forward, maybe take that recording and share it with a trusted friend or a professional like myself and ask for some feedback. If that's still working out for you, then you might share it with some friends who are just sort of colleagues, maybe just people that you're friendly with, but you wouldn't necessarily, have them in your inner circle. The point here is to have incremental challenges so that you can take a little step forward and then either regroup and try again, or, okay, that worked out well, let's do it again. So I've shared it with some people that are friendly, but not necessarily friends. And I tried it again, and it worked again. Or this time it didn't. Now what do I do? You'll have to make the decision. You might try a third, and then see how that feels and move forward. But these incremental challenges will help to equip you so that you can keep on introducing newer, more interesting, or perhaps more serious challenges and move towards your goal of being in those performances that you're wanting to be in. Incremental little challenges along the way. That's how you're going to ultimately get the tools so that you can manage your performance anxiety. Just incremental steps forward. And it goes without saying, I should also say, this is not just in what you are performing, but also in your mindset around the performances, being both meticulous and observant about your frame of mind. In other live events or in other videos, I've talked about my saboteur. This is the crosstalk that I hear in my mind as I'm getting ready to do some type of performance, whether it's making a video or walking out on stage. Recognizing it for what it is, as opposed to assuming that it is real, that it is a part of the reality that surrounds me, makes a really big difference in how one deals with it. Because I can listen to it, I can recognize it for what it is, and then I have put in place the steps so that I can keep moving towards the performance and ultimately do the video or do the show, whatever it's going to be that day. Be persistent. It's built into everything that I've talked about. This is a process, and it requires persistence. You may find that you have to go over a few steps several times before you feel comfortable enough to introduce a new incremental change. You may find that if you've been on the path for a while and you've been instituting incremental changes, but all of a sudden it starts to feel worse, you may have to back up and then move through that series again. It requires persistence. This is why we want to start early, which was, of course, the first point that I made. Every step along the way has an element of persistence built into it. Your meticulousness, your ability to observe will help you be both incremental and persistent as part of your practice. Finally, be flexible. If you always want to wear a certain type of shirt, but it's not available that day, you might have to wear a different shirt. If your guitar string breaks, if the piano at the club is out of tune, if a patch on your software isn't working or on your guitar processor isn't working, you may have to be flexible. Cultivating a mindset of flexibility around these elements will help reduce your overall stress load and will make it easier for you to deal with your performance anxiety. There are some things that you can only be so flexible around. If you're a vocalist and you have acute laryngitis so that nothing comes out, you can't really do much about that. But if you're feeling a little bit under the weather and you self-accompany and you use a capo on your guitar anyway, maybe moving it down a couple frets so it's a major second or a minor third lower might make the difference between that song sounding as if you're reaching a little bit for it and being very, very comfortable and putting on a good performance for it. We have to be flexible. We might have to be flexible in the types of things that we eat prior to the shows. You've heard me mention, if you've been around for a while, that I have to watch how much hot sauce. I'm a really big fan of hot sauce like sriracha, other things like that. I have to watch how much of that I eat because it can adversely affect my voice. Since I use it every day, that is obviously something that I cannot have. So I have to be flexible in terms of when I can allow myself to have more of that and when I can have less. There are any number of different elements that we could talk about in terms of flexibility. Flexibility about when you warm up, how you warm up, where you warm up, what you use to warm up. The more that you can be flexible with these elements, the easier it will be for you to make your way to the stage and have a really good performance. I do hope that this helps. If you have any questions or comments or additions, please drop them in the comments below. I do really, really hope that it can help you with your performance anxiety, because it's just such a shame to feel that desire to perform, but then also feel that crippling anxiety. I am all too familiar with it, and I do hope this helps. Until next time, my name is Jeff. Take really good care of your voices, enjoy singing, and hopefully we'll see you again. Bye.